Meet Chris Dar, better known as Peapod, a household name on the Toledo radio airwaves for nearly 12 years. Beyond his impressive tenure in broadcasting, Chris has made a name for himself as a huge supporter of the local music scene and as a commentator for pro wrestling. As a multi-passionate individual, he's a true inspiration for those seeking to pursue diverse interests without sacrificing their commitment and energy. We're thrilled to welcome Chris as a guest on our podcast, where he'll share his experience, personal evolution, and passion for Toledo. So join us as we dive into his unique journey and explore why the Glass City is the perfect place to dream big. I'm excited.
I'm excited.
Are you ready to dive right in?
Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's go,
All right?
right?
I'm excited. Let's do it. Okay, so I love how you described yourself when you came to Toledo.
Mm-hmm.
You said that you came to Toledo as a self-described scared little boy who was very in his shell.
Yes.
Which, first of all, I'm excited to hear about anyway because I know what your personality is like now. So I'm excited to hear this. So can you tell me about your journey of transformation from that scared little boy to a public figure in the music scene?
Just right out the gate,
Yes.
just like, hey, let's go back to your childhood. So I was bullied a lot. I came from a little town in Akron, Ohio. It's called Copley, Ohio. It's like, if anybody's familiar with the Toledo region, it's like the Maumee of Toledo. It's like the Maumee of Akron, pretty much what Copley was.
Okay.
And I had certain physical ailments. I grew up with no enamel in my teeth, so all of my teeth were like yellow, all these crowns and one fake tooth, and that was the target of like a lot of like bullying, and then just like I was bullied for everything, and like I broke down and cried, in school, so I could make fun of that. It was just like a vicious cycle and everything, and it was hard to get to the point of like what I am now is completely different than I was then, and it got to the point even I had dark thoughts and everything. At one point, I would get in a lot of fights. I would be suspended from school. I'm a good student, I was a good kid, but they would throw a bunch of words, and I throw the first fist, and I would get in trouble more than the bully, because I threw hands, basically.
That had to have been very frustrating, and I would imagine extremely invalidating when you know that you're just offending yourself and people that are supposed to protect you aren't really doing that.
It got to the point where, and I hate saying this, when school shootings became a regular thing in this country, sadly, is when they started somewhat going, hey, let's pay attention more of how did it get to the point of fighting, rather than, oh, this person hit another person, that's it. Punish that person who started it. I got to the point where, excuse me, Albert. Excuse me.
Good.
All right.
We like to, you've seen episodes.
Yes.
We're pretty real.
Right, yes.
We're pretty real
So,
on this podcast.
Excuse me, so sorry. But I got to the point where around my senior year of high school, I started actually breaking out of my own shell. And that's where the Peapod nickname came from. Everybody thinks it's like some cool name or story. It's not. It's the most boring ass story ever. I don't know. Am I allowed to curse?
Yes.
Maybe? Okay.
Yes, you are.
I'll try not to, but still. It's the most boring ass story ever. And I remember the kid's name. The kid's name was Paul. And I was hanging out with not people my grade. My sister at the time was coming into high school, so I was a senior, she was a freshman, and I was hanging out with the freshman class because I didn't like anybody my own age or my own grade, because they were all punks. They were punks to me, they were punks to everybody else, and not the good kind of fight the power punks. It's like assholes, basically. I got to the point where I was hanging out with the freshman kids, and one of them goes, I'm going to start calling you Peapod from now on. And I go, why? And he goes, because it's the first word that popped in my head when I met you. Sure. It's just I don't know. I was wearing black. I didn't know where it came from. When I decided to come to Toledo originally for engineering, when I graduated high school, and I joined WXUT, University of Toledo's college radio station. I was always infatuated with like the idea of radio DJ names, a character, kind of almost like hiding yourself behind a version of yourself.
I see. Okay.
So like that became more of like, okay, I don't want anybody to know who I am. I want it to be kind of mysterious but fun. Have people think of their own version of what I am. And so I used Peapod as the radio DJ name there, and then everybody of my friends when I was meeting in college called me Peapod and everything. And then when I graduated spring of 09, I ended up using that as when I finally got on air on Big Boy Radio, Cumulus Media.
Yeah.
I used that as a name and everything. But like getting to that point took years and years to get to the point where I felt more comfortable in my own skin, and it got to the point of literally moving away from my hometown and like starting anew.
I have so many questions.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so
I tend to tell a lot of stories that like I will divert, but I'll always come back.
That's okay.
So
I'll
me
go
along.
back with you.
That's right.
We'll just travel all over the place together.
That's right.
Okay, so my first question for you is, you said you hit a point where you came out of your shell. Was
Mhm.
there some kind of pivotal moment or some type of epiphany for you that made you feel like you could give yourself the license to come out of your shell?
That's a good question. I've never been asked that. My senior year of high school, it got to the point where like I was just everybody who I had, the small friends I had, already graduated and moved on. So it was really kind of like my own sink or swim. And then I just kind of navigated towards people that like I connected with. You know, senior year of high school was the first time I ever had my first kiss. I experienced more things on my senior year of high school that like a lot of other kids would be already at that point. I was allowed. I came from I was firstborn, so I was a test child. So like I wasn't allowed to like watch MTV when I was growing up.
We shared that in common.
Yeah.
Not
So
allowed to do that
we're the test children. Like even because I have tattoos and everything. Like it took me forever and a day for me to actually show my parents that I had tattoos. It was not until I started having tattoos on my regular arms, my exposed skin, where I went to my parents and go, I have tattoos. Like I still have that like sort of that sheltered mentality and lifestyle. And even like when I think about like life now and how I see others, like it's still kind of in that sheltered world, which is not necessarily a good or bad thing.
Right.
Because like it all has pros and cons, much like everything. You know, I'm glad I didn't deal with certain experiences, because nobody wants to deal with certain experiences. But at the same time, like some of those experiences give you a more mature way of looking in life. That's how I kind of feel with it. So it wasn't really like a specific person or moment or anything. It just got to the point where like there's no one talking for me. I was ready to talk for me. I was ready to sing my song, tell my story. I wanted to find my tribe of people that liked and respected me and didn't care what's going on. And it shocked people, my senior year of high school, it shocked people. Like when I got up from like the lunch table and all my other friends would follow me to wherever, it shocked people of my own graduating class that I had friends. Because like, I was the kid that everybody bullied. Like it was shocked. Like they all thought, I remember this vividly, I don't know why. People thought I was starting a cult. Because like I have friends now, so what a concept. Chris has friends, and it just got to that point. So like, there wasn't really a moment. It's just like I had nobody else older than me. I wasn't tagging along with somebody. I was clearly on my own, and it was one of those sink or swim moments.
And you found your tribe.
And I found my tribe.
I think that's really important, and I think your story very much reflects and mirrors a lot of other people's stories from the standpoint that sometimes it's kind of hard to fully figure out who you are and feel accepted until you find that group of people that sees you for the whole picture and accepts and loves you and likes you exactly as you are.
It's hard to find it, especially especially like I get very disheartened about things, especially with like the fate of our nation right now, and like where we're at, and like the rise of all the information, social media, things like that. I'm not saying that like social media or anything is bad, but like social media can be a fun mirror, but also social media can be a way of people communicating and reaching out and feeling everybody else out. So it like COVID kind of made me a little bit of a nihilist at times. Like I believe in people, but I also I believe in certain people doing certain things. I don't believe as a group of people overall.
Sure.
Like I don't believe in, frankly, the direction of our country. But I believe in like people like you. People like I hang out with wrestling, people that I will stick my flag in people that I believe in. And if I believe in I've always been like, I will defend you until I can't. Because I believe in these certain types of people, places, and things. And I will always defend them. And I always say vote with your wallet. If you don't like something, don't give it energy. Don't pay attention. Don't trash on social media.
Yeah.
Don't buy it. Just scoot it away.
Yeah.
And go toward and support the things you believe in and support.
You are a very supportive person in general. I could tell just by how supportive you've been of the podcast and
yeah, absolutely.
And really believing in it. I can tell once you believe in something, you really do invest in it, which is very evident by the fact that you did what you had to do to move through the radio scene, to do what you wanted to do.
Yes.
And so you ended up starting a show called On the Radar, which was on the radio station 100.7 The Zone. So
that's no longer here, by the way.
It is not. It is not anymore.
You're not going to find it.
So what inspired you to start On the Radar, and what was your ultimate goal for it?
On the Radar started as actually with a local, I don't think they're in existence anymore, to be frank, a local promotion group called Innovation Concerts. Because I remember when I was in college and I was listening to The Zone myself, and remember there was a Sunday night, local show. And I've been talking about like if I ever got, the reins on The Zone or whatever, like, and I never really had the reins on it, but like I became like the poster child for it. Of this small little alt rock station in Toledo, Ohio that, would go out of service, when you get halfway down to BG or anything like that. It's, I wanted to turn it inward, and I'm like, we need to support more of us, because sometimes radio wants to go like outward, and like especially how radio is nowadays and everything is syndicated and nobody's really live sometimes, and you're not going to find local people. I want to concentrate on something inward, and sometimes it helps having the little old lady having a bake sale at the UAW or whatever, or the VFW, excuse me, like, it's good to support that. So I wanted to have a local music show for like the longest time. I hooked up with the people at Innovation Concerts, and we started doing a little bit. It was wrapped around like who they're booking and everything, but I got to play music or play artists of their upcoming shows. Unfortunately, it got to the point where they couldn't pay the bills, and they had to be removed as a major sponsor. And luckily, the powers that be let me still have this show, and I got to start shaping it in my own. I got to reach out to artists that are like, hey, let me play your music on there. So I played your stuff. I played past stuff. Like Ryan Roth and Jeff Stewart.
You're very supportive of the local music scene.
I do, because like I believe there's art and music around here. It's not just chicken chunks and factory people, and like there's still like Ohio.
A lot of people in Toledo really do love their chicken chunks.
They do, and that's fine. That's your bag. I just like right now, you know what I'm seeing the rise of?
What's that?
Mexican food trucks and Mexican restaurants, which is not a bad thing. Like one of my favorite Mexican places is called Tacos El Junior, and it's located. It's usually parked on Broadway Street. But there's also a new one that is right by my house. I think it's called Taquillo. I don't know how to pronounce it. Tacyao. I think it's Spanish for basically. It's kind of a tongue in cheek, like not another taco truck. Like it's like kind of tongue in cheek. Of it, and that's been pretty good as well. So like I've seen that, but like there's art and there's culture and there's like people here, and I wanted I have always been wanting to be the person to help give a stage, because not enough people. It's not about me. As much as like I'm on this show and we're talking about me and like my thing, but like at the end of the day, it's not about me. I believe in the people. Therefore, I want to just be a megaphone, basically.
Yeah,
that's how I
understand
feel.
What you mean?
Plus, I'm also really loud, so it also works that way.
I appreciate you because you're actually helping me test the extent of the gain control on this new mic. So thank you so much.
R.I.P. your editing.
It's actually okay because I checked it at first, and surprisingly, we're good.
Oh wow!
I think it'll be okay. So did On the Radar end up opening up some new opportunities for you while you were doing that?
A little bit. I mean, I got to interview more and more people, and I got to have more and more control. But then I also learned more about like presentation, editing, how everything flows, and everything. And when the zone, it also got to be like when they took the zone away again, and then I was still like on board because I did close to 12 years of radio in Cumulus, and I jumped around. And I also like was doing digital work and promotions and everything. So I got to like learn a little bit more about like learning how to sell yourself and everything. And I ended up turning that show also into podcasts right around the time the podcasting boom was happening. And you know, now everybody and their mother has a podcast. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
It's true. That's why
true.
Literally, when I've told people, literally anyone can start a podcast.
They literally
can because I absolutely knew nothing about this when I started it last year. So anybody really can.
It's and it's a great format, but like I wanted to always turn the show into something that I really loved, and I was always influenced by the BBC One in the UK, their live performances. I love those. There's also, there's also an Australian radio program called Like a Version, where they would have artists cover another artist's songs live in studio.
Oh, cool.
Like one of my favorite ones is Church's singing Arctic Monkeys' "Do I Want to Know." Wow. YouTube it. It's delicious. It's a fantastic cover. But I always loved that, and then I always loved like Audio Tree and their live studio performances, everything. So when I wanted to start doing this podcast, I wanted to do really good interviews and then break it up kind of, you know, with interesting talks, and then like kind of going deeper into like how these men and women and non-binary people create their music and the art and the thought process behind it, and then also break up the monotony, because like you don't want to do 1 hour straight of stuff. Right. So much like radio would do, you would have music in between segments, and I want to do live performances. So I ran that show for about 3 years. I've worked with incredible local area music recording studios, Steve Warser, Pat Checkett, Travis Guyman, you know, Steve Warser did like solo, he's done his own studio stuff, and it works with a lot with like Matt Caracas and the Simpson Boys and everything. Pat Checkert is currently in the band Convictions, which is a Christian metal band, but he also has his own studio stuff called Underhill Recordings. Travis Guyman is out of Waterville, Ohio, and he has his own studio space called Bigfoot Studios.
That studio's a great vibe because that's where we did, when I was
Correct.
on your show, that's where we did the interview.
Correct.
It's nice.
It's a beautiful, beautiful
that
place.
That piano is amazing.
Oh my God. I think he's selling it, or I saw him selling a grand piano. I don't know if it's just his or whatnot, but like, I'm just like, all of them are like, I came with them, I'm like, hey, I want to bring artists to your studio. I want to interview them. I want your help to help mic it up, and because like I didn't know recording equipment very well, but I know how to edit interviews. So like I got it, and I said I will pay for your time. You know, I want to make sure you're a part of this as well. And then like also the back end they got free publicity, because a lot of those artists that I would bring in would eventually go back to them and pay for recording time. Sure. So really in an indirect way, not only I'm paying for their work and their time, but they could have a possibility of spreading their good word, because like the artists will hear these special versions, whether it's like a full band version or a stripped down version or something very unique they want to do. They would hear this like free track. and they can, use it for whatever. And then I put that on podcast feeds. It's still on podcast feeds. I just don't do the show anymore because life with wrestling now has kind of picked up a little bit, and I also changed jobs and all that. We got more of that later, but
it's nice because, like you said, it is all still there.
Yeah.
And I know that you had the opportunity when you were doing that to interview a huge variety of musicians in several different genres. Is there an interview that was especially memorable that stands out in your mind?
So I'll answer that question in two parts, because I'll do the radio. When I was doing the radio show before it went away, I had the opportunity to interview one of my favorite punk bands, Anti-Flag, and I got to interview the singer Justin Sane before, like, it was like a week before they came to actually play to Toledo. So that was really cool, and I've seen Anti-Flag 3 times. They're like my second favorite. Like, they're one of my top favorite punk bands next to Bad Religion. And I would love to just meet or see Bad Religion live, but like they're on the downswing of their careers, and like they only play festivals and everything. They're not like out and touring anymore. But like I would love, it was a bucket list. If I ever had the opportunity, Greg Gaffin, the singer of Bad Religion, he's also a college professor. He's a doctorate in a couple of studies. I would love to like just think and talk to him. I would love to do that, but I got to interview Anti-Flag, and Anti-Flag is fantastic, and I'm a big fan of that. So that was really cool, like the radio side of the show for On the Radar. When I did the podcast, I can't think of just one, because
you got to interview so many.
I've interviewed, not only just like local, I did across the Midwest. I would have traveling acts through and everything. This is right off the top of my head because like I don't want to insult anybody who's watching this, like, oh, you forgot about us, but like this is like I love having you on, not because you're right here. I loved having your interview on because I'm learning your story, because I had you on my radio show, and then later on I had you on my podcast, and it was almost night and day, the difference of how you were and everything, and you were basically professing your love to your now wife.
Goodness, yes.
And I was just
so
like,
true.
and I love that, and I thought that was very beautiful.
Thank
and
you.
Everything, yeah. And then another really good one was American Arson out of the Detroit area. They were I got a local area rapper and writer, Rain Wilder, got me hip to them. And I got to interview them, and that was really a fun performance. And they're just a 2-man piece, but they sound like they would be a band of 5. Like,
wow.
I'm just like,
Okay.
it was really cool, and I love the guy's voice, and I love their presence and everything. I got to interview a band called Bilach out of the Republic of Malta, out of somewhere in Europe.
Wow.
Then they were doing their very first U.S. tour, and I had the opportunity to sit down with them and have them record a song too. And they were great. They were a 3-piece punk band from Malta. And that was a fun interview, and learning about like their culture and like what's going on with their government, or like what's going on with their situation. I loved doing that one. That was a really good one.
I just thought of this. So considering how you described yourself when you were a kid,
Yeah.
what do you think little kid, shy, kind of introspective, introverted Chris would have thought if he were able to see that and what you got to do and getting to interview some of your favorite bands?
I still to this day don't believe it. Like, especially like what I have done and what I'm currently done in the independent wrestling world. Like I still don't believe it. It's almost like an out of body experience. Like, I don't believe I'm doing this. Like, it still hasn't like hit me fully. Like, I love it and I'm enjoying it and everything, but I also am like one of those, like, because it's happened so much of like, when is the other shoe gonna drop? Like, and that's a problem that I struggle with, but like I'm learning better to enjoy what I have, enjoy the moments, even enjoying the silence, as the Depeche Mode says, and really like what I'm doing now and enjoying that more, instead of waiting for the next thing or waiting if something goes bad, and then trying to enjoy all of it there. So like, I think little Chris me sees me now and they would think I'm a fucking rock star, and it's ridiculous. But even me now, I'm like, I don't know, I'm some loud bald guy that calls himself a vegetable. I'm not like, I'm not anything. I'm just me. So
you know what though, I feel like you're in really good company. I think so many people feel that way about themselves, and especially if you've been through multiple instances where you kind of had the rug pulled out from under you when it seemed like something was going really well. I feel like it's kind of muscle memory to go to that place, and I think oftentimes we have trouble staying in the moment anyway. So I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with. It's a very normal thing.
Literally my radio career, it was the rug getting pulled out of me, because I would get to a point where I would be ready to ask or throw myself in front of the powers that be and going, I want to do more. I want to move up in the company. What can I do it? And then when I'm about to be at that moment, they would have a change of the guard. They would have a change in the management, and then they would bring in their own people, and then I would start to square one. It was gotten to the point where right before COVID, they actually brought in a general manager that literally was someone already in our building, hired and raised up. She was the head of sales, and she got moved to general manager. And it was the first time ever I was like, this is it. I can do it. I'm finally in a good spot. I will finally get where I want. COVID happened. The lockdowns happened. And I was I almost lost my job. I almost did. It was because I knew so much in the building that I got to keep my job, because I knew how to do literally everything. And during the heavy lockdowns, the entire company was split up into 3 groups. Either you were furloughed for 90 days, and then it was the time with like the extra unemployment and everything. You were furloughed for 90 days, or you're in Group B, which is in a 90-day window. You will be furloughed 3 non-consecutive weeks. So they will like choose which weeks you will have to do, and you would not be working, but then you can also like file for unemployment and get that extra, bonus check or whatnot. Or you would have to take in Group C a temporary 20% pay cut, and that was more for like the upper management or HR or things like that. And I almost was in that first group. But when management, because the first thing they took out was like the promotion team. Like, there's no promotions, nobody can be out and about. Like,
sure.
But like, I knew how to produce commercials. I knew how to run certain shows. I did my own show. I knew how to run the website and everything. Like, I knew all these things. They're like, keep him on. He'll be in Group B, and I was in Group B. And then it got to the point where, in the fall of 2021. After all said and done, and when they took my radio station away and my show away, for the 4th time of my tenure there of music, because the Zone was like one of the stations they didn't know how to sell. They didn't know, the salespeople didn't know how to sell an alt rock station, especially with like doesn't get much coverage. So it's almost like the audiences was kind of folding in on itself.
I see.
So
okay.
like it was hard to like promote one station when like everybody wants to go with like the country station, the top 40 station, and like everybody knew the names of like the big people that are on the radio stations who've been in the market for 20 some odd years. And like I was known, and this is the funniest thing, like in a little side tangent, a lot of people are like, I used to listen to you when I was growing up, and like that doesn't like connect with me, because I'm like, what? I'm like, I'm only 37, and like I feel like an old man, and I have like young kids, like 10, 12. Like I remember, you're familiar with Chloe and the Steel Strings?
Yes,
lovely
yes,
ladies,
yes,
lovely
they
ladies.
are.
But they were like, we used to listen to you when we were going to school in high school, and I'm just like, fuck, I'm old. Damn it. Wonderful ladies, and the promoter of our wrestling company, they're like, you're a big thing. You're kind of Toledo famous. And I'm like, what? Nobody told me this. I don't believe this. I didn't get any free shit or anything. I didn't get free meals. Like, people sort of understood it. They'll hear my voice and go, do I know you? And I guess I have an interesting voice, I guess.
You do. Here's the thing, though. You said a little bit ago that you don't view yourself as a big deal, which is fine. Humility is an excellent quality.
I don't.
However, okay, so let's look at the reality of your situation.
Mm-hmm.
Look at how hard you had to work to get to the point where you fully came into your own with your personality and with feeling confident in yourself, and then look at how much disappointment you experienced when you were in the radio industry. So for a lot of people, that in and of itself, understandably, would be enough to take you down and make you stop trying and stop
Right.
trying to push forward. And you haven't done that. So I think you're a perfect example of what I love about Toledo so much, because people here in Toledo know how to work hard. They know how to pick themselves back up when they experience disappointment, when something doesn't go the way they thought it would. So you're an example of that. So looking at that, you're now moving into these new ventures of marketing and wrestling. So how did your experience in radio and the music scene help to shape your current approach with these new endeavors?
So I left I left radio because I had to talk with my general manager the fall of 2021. And I was like, are you going to put me on a new station? You going to put me anywhere else? And they're like, no. And then I'm like, why the fuck am I here then? And like, I let out like 12 years of frustration off of my general manager. I was telling them things that I've held back for so long. And like, it was great to say it. It was therapeutic, strangely. But I was just like, that's when the moment I knew I needed to look and better myself. April of 2022 was I have that backwards. The fall 2020 is when I decided to start leaving. My last show was April of 2021. I joined up with a printing company locally who was launching a marketing wing. And I've always been like experienced of like learning how to get yourself or your brand or your show or things out there on the different platforms and learning more of the marketing world. And I thought I took on a job and I bet on myself. It was the biggest risk of my life of doing that. And it didn't really work out because me and the owner were like oil and water. Like I wanted to try things. I want to do things, and half of marketing, in my opinion, is throwing shit at a wall and see if it sticks. And like he was so hung up on like details and like when to do it and everything. He was ex-military and ex-engineering. So he was all about order and super heavy on details.
Very regiment.
And like very regiment. And I was not a regiment. I am not a regiment kind of guy.
I can see why you guys would have been oil and water, because those are you knowing your personality and how you described him, that really is polar opposites.
I never say this line, but I'm an Aquarius, and like we're really big, and you understand, yes, and we're really big on let us sing our tune, let us do it our way, but we will more than happy run into the realms of where you want it, but let us sing it in our style, because we understand what we can't do, what we can and cannot do, but if you let us do it our style, it will come out, you'll get better results.
I think that's true. I have a question for you as well.
Yes.
Do you have a really hard time with the concept of injustice, like seeing injustice happen? Yeah, you really are my fellow Aquarius buddy.
I want to riot so much at so many things, and yes. I know that like I can't, because I would like my job and I would like for my family, and I have to do this. So I do it by listening to really angry music while putting in stuff for like marketing things.
It's a much healthier way.
It really is. So like the fall of 2021, I left the job. And I was almost going to go back to the radio station as a salesperson, because because I turned into kind of a cold calling salesperson in the printing world. So if I didn't know much about the printing world, and I was an okay salesperson, because I know how to talk on the phone, I know how to talk to people. Imagine if I know how to talk to people in the radio realm, which I knew a lot of, and talk stalled. The holidays of 2021 was fun, quote unquote. Because I literally was on unemployment. I didn't know what I was going to do for the job. I had to wait it out through the holidays and everything. And then I hooked up with a man. I don't know if you've ever met him yet or you've heard his name, but he would be a good idea to interview, potentially.
Okay.
His name is Kevin Mullen, and he knows everybody and everything, but he's done marketing himself. He came to me and goes, I need help with my marketing stuff. And he was part of a big marketing agency, and then he was unfortunately let go due to COVID. So he launched his own stuff, and he also, you ever see the beer fire truck?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. He runs that. That's his stuff.
Oh, okay.
So me and him were in talks with stuff, But then he also got me contacted with my current employment. I don't want to mention them just because.
Yeah.
If I don't want anybody to think that I'm, if I say something that they don't like, I don't want to get in trouble, obviously. But my current place of employment, which is a marketing agency here in Toledo, and I'm in their media buying department, which is a client will come to us as a marketing agency, and they go, we need help with, A, B, C, and D. And then we want to hit these audiences and this is our budget. Can you help us perform a plan? So we kind of do some little research and come and figure out what's the best way to spend their media dollars. We come back to them and go, here's our plan. If you do A, B, C, and D, and it costs A, B, C, and D, this is what you'll get. And then they'll go back and they'll talk with their people and they'll talk with our AEs and everything. They'll figure out something. And then they go, great, let's do these things and make it happen. And then we would help execute that stuff and then report. So we're in the early talks, and then we're not dealing with any of it until after it is. And then we help make sure the certain vendors and everything. Okay. So it's very interesting. One of my clients is a local, an Ohio area college of nursing. So they would come to us and we would be doing radio, and then we would do Google search and OTT and connected TV stuff on apps and videos and everything. And then we help put those in and schedule them and everything. And then we talk with the different radio people stations and everything, going, hey, we represent blank, we'd like to do some coverage in your station, how much is whatever to do or whatever. And then we kind of negotiate and everything. So it's really been cool. I've been there now for a little over a year, and it's a great work environment. It's better work, and I've had my trip ups here and there, but I'm still learning and I'm still doing through all of that.
So tell me how that ends up transitioning to you being involved with wrestling.
So I, because of my connections and everything, ironically, I got connected with Ruthless Pro Wrestling and the owner, Christopher Kohlenberg. Great man, great dude. I actually interviewed him because in 2020, they were going to have their very first show at Handmade Toledo of March of 2020.
Oh, no.
And we all know what happened in March of 2020 in the entirety of the world. And that never happened. And then, they ended up starting to do a couple more shows and here and there. And then I left radio. And then who's my commentary partner, but also one of my longest friends I've had in the area, about 13-ish years. My buddy Travis, he comes to me and goes, hey, I'm involved in this, in Ruthless Pro Wrestling. I'm involved in RPW. We would love, since you're not doing radio anymore, you're scheduling your side projects, everything has opened up. We want to bring you on as a commentator. So let's go. I know how to talk. I like pro wrestling, and commentating pro wrestling and commentating, radio is two different things.
I would imagine.
The only way I'm decently good is I know how to talk into a microphone. That's it.
Well, I would imagine too that wrestling and that type of commentating would lend very well to like you described, the volume of your voice.
The volume, the energy, how you portray a story and everything. And so I talked to Chris and I was like, hey, I want to jump on and everything, and he's like, it's not a lot of money, are you really willing to do this? And I'm like, I have a 9-to-5. I'm not looking for this to be my job. I like to help support people doing cool things. And he goes, you're on, you're good. And as of this recording date, 2 years ago, we first did shows where we would shoot the footage. It was all self-made. It's independent wrestling. It's not like the stuff you see on TV with the WWE or WWF, depending on how old you are, or AEW if you're into that. It's not that. It's independent, we're shooting on GoPros and whatnot, and we would go to our buddy's house, and then after he would cut up all the footage, we would overdub that. So we would record, we recorded that. And then it got to the point where the fall of 2021, was we had our very first live opportunity. We were working. All of our shows and everything is on a streaming service called IWTV, Independent Wrestling TV, and independent companies across the country, their shows are on here. IWTV also does live shows. So like we will be live on the streaming channel at a certain time and date, and they'll give the audience and everything plenty of time, weeks beforehand, going, hey, this show's gonna be live. And it was in the middle of a weekend in Fenton, Michigan. We were working with another company out of the East Coast called ICW No Holds Barred. And it was during a big weekend called the Deathmatch Circus. Side note, our independent wrestling is called Deathmatch Wrestling. It's a little bit more extreme of sorts. A lot of men and women, a lot of people hitting each other with very questionable objects.
Oh.
It's almost like kind of like a live action horror film in a sense.
I see. Okay.
So it's light tubes, it's barbed wire, it's do you know what a gusset plate is?
I do not.
It's the things that hold up like foundations of houses or like barns you see.
Okay.
Like people are hitting, it's like a little metal strip has spikes in them. People are shoving them in each other's faces. You know, it's a very extreme, it's a very niche thing.
Okay.
But it's very entertaining for the people that like it. It's not for everybody. We already know that, but we were in the middle of they called it the Deathmatch Circus. ICW did this event, and they brought us on. It was our first big we were live, and we got to do live wrestling commentary there, and it was like the most there's no pre-recording, there's no double takes, there's not go back and record this. This is live in the moment, and personally, I always do better in those situations. I always love doing a live show. I don't like pre-recording shows because I like having no safety net.
I get that.
So you're on it, you're in it, and you do your best. And from there, we've done more and more shows. We've got to book more and more bigger names in the independent wrestling scene. We recently just did our first show on the East Coast in New Jersey. And that was a wild experience. We were working with not only ICW No Holds Barred, we were working with another company out there called H2O and their stuff. There are, more talks about doing more shows, not in the Michigan area. We're about to be going to Chicago in June. We have some more things in the works, and we're really excited. And I just I get to call some of these moments. I get to talk over men and women hitting each other with questionable objects, and it's just a lot of fun. And we're really building something that has been getting more and more followings, everything, and it's just been a wild. And I help with some of the behind the scenes stuff. I help run some of the social media and everything, and we help make sure everybody's good. And I make sure I take notes of wrestlers, and even on show day, I would go up to the wrestlers and go, hey, anything you want us to cover, make sure we put over and everything. It's been just a wild experience, seeing that world and helping a world and helping build something, getting them a bigger stage for things.
I'm so glad that things have worked out this way for you, and you're getting to. I've loved listening to you talk about this because I can tell you're extremely passionate about it. And you are someone who has interest in so many different areas. I mean, look, you are interested in music, you have strong marketing skills and are interested in that. You also are interested in wrestling. So being a person of varied interests, how do you balance your involvement in all your respective areas of interest and still keep some semblance of feeling, calm and balance within yourself?
Really not.
I love your honesty.
I get very neurotic, and bless my wife for that. She'll talk me down and everything. I've always said that I've even said to the wrestling thing. I'm I will do this until until it has a negative effect on my home life and my work life, and if it does, then I will have to break away. But so far, I have a very flexible work schedule. And I do, my work, and it's different work, but it's not I'm not doing construction or anything. I sit at a desk in downtown Toledo, and I'm answering a bunch of emails and being on Zoom calls and talking about how things are that, and try to keep an open mind. That I still try to like support music and support the music scene as best I can. I will be honest, I haven't gone to much of a local show since COVID.
That's fair though, right? Things have changed a lot since then.
I just like, it got to the point where like I got comfortable being at home a bunch, and I still love supporting the people that I want to, and supporting like you guys, and like going out and seeing the Ottawa Tavern, and I love what Zach has been doing with them, and how he's turned that place around. It's gorgeous. Seeing some of the other people, and still supporting all like the local musicians and the people that I've had as guests, or the people that I really enjoy and everything, and still giving them shout outs, or using their music, or share them on social media, or buying their albums or things like that. Some of the things like I still can do. I'm not actively going to shows like on a Tuesday night with 5 bands starting at 7 and like being tired the next day and everything with no food, or the only thing you can drink is like whatever booze they got. But like, I'm still trying to like do my best and like, again, be in their corner.
Yeah, I very much think you are. I think support can come in a variety of different ways, and it can evolve and change over time. And just because you're not necessarily supporting in the specific avenue that you used to, it doesn't in any way mean that your support has lessened that.
No, but I just feel like personally bad, because I used to be the guy that would like go to a bunch of local shows and everything, and like I had a radio show that would like give local music a platform, but like, and I had a lot of people that like really enjoyed my company allegedly, and I say that allegedly because like when the radio show went away, I had less and less people reaching out to me, and like I get it, I'm not offended or anything, but I put my podcast on ice because I was in the process of like finding the new job, and then the wrestling thing started kind of blowing up and everything, and I'm like, it was taking a lot of time, but I had a lot of great memories, and I'm still in people's corner, and I'll still support as best I can, as much as I can.
Well, and what's amazing about the podcast platform is, yes, it might have ended for you for the time being, but the beauty of a podcast is you can always pick it back up. So that's not something that has to die completely for you.
I have thought about it. But like it got to the point where like during the heavy lockdowns, I was doing a lot of interviews like over Zoom. And like I was doing, I was debuting tracks or everything. Like the great thing about that is like I got to talk to more and more people outside of the, where they were at. And I got to work with a lot of independent record labels and everything like that. And I got to tell a lot of cool stories. But like, part of me wants to bring it back again, but like I don't want to bring it back as another Zoom chat with like somebody's track I'm playing on there. I want to do it again, kind of the style I was doing. Working with record labels, working with recording studios and everything. But again, it's a lot of moving parts, and I'd like to spend time with my wife and my family. And the wrestling thing, we're gonna hopefully travel a little bit more going into stuff, and and I want to bring my wife with me, and there's a lot more energy going to that. And like, if I'm gonna ever bring that show back, I want to bring it back in the way I've always wanted to do, but I don't think I can, and I'm okay to kind of just like, I have 134 episodes out there. You can still listen to it. Look for the On the Radar podcast wherever you get your podcasts from. It's all still there. I didn't shut down the podcast feed. It's still there. I just don't update it anymore. So like, if anybody wants to go back and listen to some tremendous music, if they want to listen to your episode or anything, it's still there. I also have all of the tracks that I think I still have all of the tracks that we ever listened to for the show, like all the live performances. And
awesome.
And one of my big dreams for that is like kind of press it on vinyl. Thought that would have been really cool, but that's really expensive. So like,
I remember from when I released my album that it is incredibly expensive to do that.
Yeah, and and also like, how do I give the proper credit to all the artists and everything I'm using their songs? Like it's just, at the end of the day, like, it was a cool pipe dream, but I don't think it came to fruition. But
that's okay though.
But it's okay.
That's okay.
I like the stories I told. I like the the times that I've had with them, I will never forgive that people took their time out of their day to come talk to me, because you don't gotta do anything. You don't gotta fucking talk to me. I'm a ball of gas in the universe. Like, I'm nothing. We are space dust. We are nothing. But you took the time and energy to come and talk to me. And that's the beautiful thing about it.
I love that. I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned someone a couple times when you were sharing with me, and
Yeah.
so we can't do this and not talk about her.
My lovely
yes,
wife.
Yes. So I feel like I would describe you as a wife guy. Like, you're very into your wife in the best way possible.
Okay, yes, but you gotta be careful about like using that term about wife guys.
Okay.
Because like there's a lot of people that their whole personality is wife guys, and they're really kind of pieces of shit, and I'm not. At least I'm not.
No, you're not. I meant that in the best way possible. Like, I can tell.
No, yeah.
I can tell, one, you are super into her, which I feel like
Yes.
being super into the person that you're married to is
Yes.
wonderful. But beyond that, one of the things that I find so heartwarming about your
Mhm.
relationship is you can really tell that the two of you are best friends, and that you don't see that in every relationship.
Right.
So having that kind of relationship that you have with her, what has it meant to you to have her support and to have her be present with you to help navigate everything that you've navigated thus far to get to the point that you're at now, where you're doing something that you're genuinely enjoying doing?
This is the part that I'm gonna start making her cry. I sometimes don't tell her or show her enough. Like, I have a hard time putting into words or physical actions of like how much she has done for me. I don't have a high opinion of myself. I still don't. Even with all the cool things that I've done, all the cool experiences and everything, I don't have a great opinion of myself. I'm not very high on myself. I still don't. I struggle with self-confidence on a daily basis. She is a person that sees my most vulnerable states. She is someone that she is more than willing to bet on and love and support and everything, and that means the absolute world to me. Do we have our frustrations? Absolutely. Every relationship does.
Absolutely.
You know, it is not perfect. You know, things have changed over the years and things like that. But my love and support for her and my beliefs in her and what I would do and like stop the world for her, and I would drop things in a heartbeat for her just because I care about her opinion a lot. Sometimes I don't want to hear it because I have a hard time like believing like, oh, fuck, you're right. You're absolutely right. Like, you know, it's one of those, like, I don't want to admit that I'm wrong, but, like, I will be the first to tell people that I am wrong in a certain situation. But, like, she is always the love and the power and the energy towards whatever I do, and she would believe in me. And then she'll also go, like, I don't think this is a great idea, or my gut feeling on this person is not great. And 9 times out of 10, she's right. It's just, it's so hard to find someone to care about, no matter where you are, no matter what you do. Like, we as humans can do such beautiful things, but at the same time, we as humans have done terrible things to each other. So the idea of someone to be so vulnerable that you go, this is me, this is who I am, this is what I bring to the table, this is all the things, my good, my bad, my flaws, my strengths, my everything. This is my family, my loved ones, my history, everything, my baggage, everything. And to come to someone and go, this is it. Will you still love me? Will you still care about me? And like, and that's something that I truly love from her, because I feel like I don't deserve it. I feel like I also don't deserve a lot of things that have happened to me in my life, because again, it's all that struggles and everything that I've done in my past and everything, and the how I still to this day sometimes, like, if something real bad happens and I said something that I don't like and everything, I hate, and I'm still beating myself up for it, like, and it's just, I don't think I deserve it. And she is more than willing to go, you not only deserve it, you deserve more. of it. And it's that love and support and everything. So yes, absolutely. And she is a beautiful being. She is an artistic being. She does beautiful stuff. Don't you start crying. Don't you start crying, because I'm going to start crying.
Okay, so you're in luck, because I wasn't going to start crying, but I really, really had to bring up her baking. Because,
oh my God.
Okay, so Glass City Humans, what you have to understand is that his wife is an unbelievably talented baker. She made the cake for my wedding, and it was unreal. She does beautiful work, and it's so delicious, and you can tell that she really, really loves what she does.
She has so much knowledge about food and where food comes from and everything, and she really should be like running her own joint. But like, the restaurant industry is incredibly sexist. And sexist and ageist and everything, and you know my wife is a few years older than me, but that doesn't mean a goddamn thing. It's just knowledge and everything. She knows the knowledge, she knows the skill, she knows the history. She's so passionate about it, but nobody out of the blue will go, here's $1 million, whatever, start a restaurant and everything. And like, running a restaurant's really hard, and like, it's also very heartbreaking about like some of the things that she has done locally and everything, a lot of the food endeavors and everything, and like, it didn't pan out, or it's just clueless people in charge that don't understand how it is. And more people are now realizing, like, the stuff we eat, it's not necessarily great for you. It's not because of like what's in it, it's how it's done. In America, the idea of like farm to table is like this new hipster thing, or whatever people call it. No, people have been doing that for years, because food is not supposed to be on shelves for months. Food is not supposed to be mass produced for people. It's supposed to be for that local area places and everything. And she has all this knowledge and this skill, and we have a small little kitchen with 4 pets and an annoying husband, and and God knows whatever kid we have this week of like great nephews, nieces, grandkids, etc. That comes through and everything. So it's hard to do stuff on her own, but like, she's done some incredible work. I still hope for the day that she can run a restaurant her way. She's on the cusp between Capricorn and Aquarius, so she wants to sing her own song, and she wants to do it her way. And just sometimes it doesn't pan out, but she still does incredible dishes for us or family or loved ones. She does incredible work for the people that does. She still does it on the side, and hopefully she has the opportunity to do more. Like, my big dream is we would make enough money to be comfortable in our living situation, and she can do or bake or cook or however the style she wants to do. She also is really big into teaching people the food. I've learned so much about food and how it's made and the different types of food and everything since being with her. We've almost been together for 10 years soon.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we've been married for 7. We've been together for about 9.
Has it really been 7 years?
May 1st of 2015.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Seriously.
Thank you. So I hope for the best, and she just doesn't get enough credit about what's going on, and I need to win the lottery or something. I'm just like, I need to get like a bigger house or something, or just like something so she can do that more.
We're thrilled that we got to experience her talents, because she really is incredible.
She doesn't do wedding cakes. You guys were the exception.
Well, I feel very touched.
Yeah.
That everybody very much
Yeah.
enjoyed it. It was delicious. We have that top tier in
Oh
our freezer waiting
Yes.
for our 1 year.
I never understood that
I don't
thing,
either, but I'm so all about it, because
Yeah.
I'm excited. I don't care that it will have been in the freezer. I'm excited to experience it again. That was
Right.
amazing.
Well,
it was a maple bourbon baking cake. Glass City.
It was good.
It's
It
ridiculous.
was good. It was so good, and like, I loved everything about your wedding.
Thank you so
By the way,
much.
like, I love weddings, but I cried so much at your wedding.
I cried
Like,
so much at my wedding.
I've never cried. I cried at my wedding, obviously,
Yeah.
but because I'm a big old softie or whatever. But like, I cried so much at your wedding, because it's just beautiful, and I knew the situation and everything. Like, Elise is a fantastic woman, and
She really is.
and it's just, like what did we do? Like how did we pull this off?
Listen, I don't know, but if you figured out, please tell
me.
Because
of course.
I seriously still ask myself every day,
I know.
I don't know what I did.
Yeah.
But I'm very thankful.
I don't know what genie that I wished for or anything, or a spell or anything.
I don't know.
So, like, we did something.
We did do something right.
I think we married up, frankly.
Yes. Oh yeah. I'll be the first person to admit I definitely married up.
Yep.
I will say that until the day that I die, and thank my lucky stars that she thinks I'm pretty alright.
Yeah. Same.
So besides your incredible wife, who here in our amazing city inspires you?
Well, I love what you're doing. Absolutely.
Thank
You're
you.
one of those. You're one of those people. Just because I'll lift the curtain a little bit. I didn't want to like pimp myself out on the show. First off, because like I have a hard time of like reaching out to people and like, hey, I want to promote myself, because it just feels really like I feel like people should come to you instead of like you come to them, but like also you have to market yourself and things like that. So like I wanted to do your show because like I feel like what some of the work that I've done and raising that flag and waving that flag for stuff, and like unfortunately it got to the point where I'm doing some other changes and everything. I had to put my flag down. I feel like your show and what you're doing and what you're believing in is picking that flag back up and carrying the baton over. So I feel like you're one of them. Your previous guest, Jeff Stewart, is probably one of the most incredible men and humans that I have walked on this earth, and he's just he just has this aura around him of just like, I'm doing the damn thing and everything. Another man that I always have respect for and everything, Shavar Dante.
Oh my gosh,
yeah,
Shavar's amazing.
He's the coolest motherfucker ever. Like,
do you know my first experience with him was, do you remember before Maddie and Bella was downtown, it was Downtown Latte?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I was a barista there, and my first time ever witnessing him and how he was shooting a music video right outside, and I've never seen someone look so cool, just like awkwardly walking to a rhythmic beat and not having any music. Like he looked extra cool doing it.
He helped us get our wedding reception together.
That's amazing.
So so it's no longer there. It was Martini and Newsies up in Toledo.
And I strangely remember your first dance song. That really stood out to me because Work Song, I've never heard anybody else use Work Song by Hozier as their first dance song, and it fit y'all so much. And the fact that you had Breaking Ground, who's incredible, and I wish they were still playing regularly. Having them play that and do that was really magical. I know I accidentally ended up experiencing that, but I was so glad I was there for that.
I am too. And Shavar helped us put together. He met us with Martini and Newsies, and they're like, we'll leave our kitchen open, because literally we had to leave it open for the public, but like anybody could come in and basically like hang out at our wedding reception. It was just like a party there and everything. We had Shavar doing like the when people were going up there, they did the pre-wedding stuff, and then like Breaking Ground, they got to play their hits and play what they're doing, and everybody got to do their thing, and they learned how to play Hozier's Work Song. And right after we got done with it, we went into Shut Up and Dance by Walk the Moon. And everybody remembers Walk the Moon, Shut Up and Dance, and that song was played all to hell on the radio.
And I don't, what's really funny?
Yeah.
I genuinely don't remember that happening. I
You're
only
one
remember Work Song.
You're one of the few people that remember that then.
Well, I'm weird.
Yes,
so.
that's correct. I too am weird. Hozier's Work Song is our actual work song. It's like my ringtone every time my wife calls me and everything. I love Hozier. I love his song, but like that song itself was like the embodiment of our relationship and how we feel about each other and everything. And it was a song that we like by an artist that some people would know and everything, but it wasn't a song that wasn't overplayed to hell on radio, which was also good, because I didn't want everybody and their mother. I get annoyed personally when people use some of the same staples in like their first dance song and everything. Nothing against them, and that's your own bag and everything, but like I felt ours was very unique and very different, and they learned it, and they did a great job. And Shavara hooked us up with Martini Newsies, and they didn't have to do anything very extra. My mother paid for the food, everything, and it wasn't even that much. And like it was just we got married in the park. and then we did our reception and martini and newsies. And to me, I feel like more people should do more stuff for the party, for the reception, than the ceremony, because you can get literally married anywhere. Anybody can be ordained, and you can do it. And like, if you want to do it at church, or you want to do all the things, it's fine. It's your wedding. I'm not gonna tell anybody differently. For me, it's like the real wedding is the reception, because people will remember. They'll remember the dress. They'll remember the food, and they'll remember the whole vibes of everything.
How it made them feel.
How they made them feel
Yeah,
about
absolutely.
everything, and like your wedding was all of those things and more. And you know, our wedding was like we made posters made up kind of like the rock and roll style. We were plastering all over places and everything. Like, it was our style, it was our way. And people still to this day will remember it, and like, it was a beautiful thing. And we invited everybody that we knew, and just like, if you can come to the ceremony, and you can't make the reception, fine. If you can make the reception, you can't do the ceremony, great. If you can do both, great. It was our style, it was our way. It didn't break the bank. It was a great experience.
I'm so glad, and I'm so happy that you two found each other.
Yes.
And that you're supporting each other.
Mhm.
It's just really wonderful to see, especially considering there's a lot of ugly in the world right now. So I really
Tell me
appreciate
about it. Yeah.
stories like yours.
Yes.
So is there anything, as we close this out, is there anything that you would like to say to our Toledo community before we close this?
Stop being a dick. No, I mean, that's really my first thing, is just like, everybody's just dicks with each other, everything. The biggest thing I could say as a Toledo famous, and I put that in quotation marks because I don't think I am, but I want people to understand that, like, there's more to the world than what you see in your day-to-day life. There are people out there that are struggling to just be themselves. The biggest thing I would say is, form a world that is comforting to others, and form ideas, and look beyond just your view. Learn more of the other side. You might be straight as an arrow, but that doesn't mean, you know, what is going on with other people. When things are going on in the world and everything, it may not affect you, but it will affect you in some way. The creative types, the people that are on the spectrum, whether it's sexuality or even autistic or everything like that. People nowadays want to just live in their one bubble, and you just can't anymore. So learn more about a world that you may not know, and it might make you feel uncomfortable, and may make you question things and everything, but keep your ideas open, your doors open, and make sure, because you don't know at the end of the day what somebody is struggling with, and the world and the powers that be don't have your best interest in mind. So have your best interest in mind, and be good for you, and be good to others. And that's the biggest thing I can probably say.